Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories in the week. I'm Teniola Shibowale, the headlines. 121 students still missing from Bethel Baptist Secondary School in Kaduna State after bandits attack. Senate Committee on INEC screens controversial presidential nominee Loretta Onochie for appointment as National Commissioner. Candidate denies affiliation with ruling APC. National Assembly approves over 900 billion naira as supplementary budget for the 2021 fiscal year. Plus, Haiti's President Jovenel Moïse assassinated in his home in the capital, Port-au-Prince. That's News Round in Hue. News Round begins with another bandit invasion in Kaduna State where 121 students were abducted from Bethel Baptist Secondary School, Marabanrido in Chikun local government area. It's now 5 days since the incident, and distraught parents of the students have held a prayer session to seek God's intervention in the rescue of their children. They're also calling on the government to come to their aid.
News of an early morning abduction of students from Bethel Baptist School in Kaduna brings anxious parents and other relatives rushing down to the premises of the boarding school located along Kaduna-Kachia Road, Chikun local government area of the state.
What will I tell her? What will I tell her? Jesus.
Attacks on schools are now becoming common in Kaduna State, with many families sleeping less at night, worried about the next target.
Oh God! This is me. No. I didn't expect it. God, I have to tell you, I am not pleased. Father, in Jesus' name, oh God, David.
Now they raise their voices in prayers, individually and collectively, seeking divine intervention for the safe return of their children.
It's only the students that were taken away. None of the staff is among them. So for me to meet the house master, who's in charge of them here, he too was able to escape with his own family. He managed to send his wife there on the other wall there and cross to call for rescue. And that thing happened, as he was saying, is about 15 minutes after 1. That was then. And the whole operation starts in 15 minutes time to his own due, not knowing that they have placed all over.
According to eyewitness reports, the attackers stormed the school early Monday morning and began shooting to cause panic before abducting the students. 4 were lucky to escape, but it's not clear how many were taken away.
Here people, they drag the door. I just wake up, I say who I thought that my student won't see me. So as they say, hey, open that door, if not I will shoot you. Then I tell them, say, me, I know well, the hand know well. So I say, I cannot open the door. So he forced the door and pushed the door open. He said, bring all your answers and money. We say, see the money when we have. We go open our box, remove the money when they pay us the day before yesterday. Then we give them. They say, okay, no any money again. I say, no money. We are two. So they said, oh, let's go. I say, oh God, see my leg, I know where. Wait, come on, let's go. So I begin to follow them. As we reach there, they said I should come back. Then they carry my second go.
Joint security operatives not far from the school responded to the attack and rescued over 20 children. Unfortunately, 2 of the officers lost their lives in the process.
The update now is about 28 students have been found, and unspecified number of students are still missing. Efforts are being made as we speak towards ensuring that we get all the students that are missing.
It's been a week since the kidnapping and 121 students are still missing.
What will I tell her? What will I tell her?
Following the incident, parents have been gathering at the school, awaiting updates about the whereabouts of their children. Friday's gathering is a unique one, as the parents, dressed in black, hold an emotional prayer session for several hours, seeking God's intervention. Some of the grieving mothers also weep on the footwear left behind by the children, praying that no harm will befall them while in captivity. President of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, Reverend Israel Akonji, leads the prayers, which he describes as their only hope. He says Governor Nasir El-Rufai has given the assurance that efforts are ongoing to rescue the students.
We have called on the executive governor of Kaduna State to ensure that these children are released. And when I spoke with him, he made a promise that he will do his best. We are looking up to God to touch the governor and use the security agencies to bring our children. We are not looking at paying ransom as the way of the release of the children.
Despite the assurances, the cleric believes the government can do a lot more.
The federal government and the Kaduna State government, they may be saying that they are doing their best, but my assessment is that their best is not enough. Manpower has not been really sufficient. Also, we have seen from the banditry things that have been experienced that the bandits, a lot of times, they overpower our own security.
An estimated 950 students have been abducted by armed bandits between last year and now in the northern part of the country, with many of the incidents occurring in the northwest zone.
Meanwhile, the Kaduna State government has ordered the immediate closure of 13 schools located in areas that have been identified as vulnerable to attacks by bandits. This follows the attack on Bethel Baptist School in Kaduna State. The Director General of Quality Assurance Authority in the state, Ministry of Education, Umar Ahmed, said the closure is with immediate effect. The statement also warns of sanctions against schools that fail to comply. To the National Assembly, where the Senior Special Assistant to the President on New Media, Mrs. Loretta Onochie, told the lawmakers that she's not a member of the ruling All Progressives Congress and has not had anything to do with any political organization since 2019. She made this claim while being screened by the Senate Committee on INEC for her appointment as INEC National Commissioner.
The nomination of President Buhari's aide, Mrs. Loretta Onochie, as a national commissioner in the nation's electoral body, INEC, has been fervently resisted by both politicians and members of civil society organizations. The grouse is that she is a card-carrying member of the ruling All Progressives Congress, and the position requires political neutrality. Regardless of a stiff opposition to her nomination, the Senate is required to at least consider President Buhari's request, and the Committee on INEC is all set to screen the controversial nominee. Committee members head straight to the crux of the matter, asking her to respond to the petitions against her as regards her affiliation with the ruling APC.
Are you a card-carrying member of any political party, madam?
Since 2019, when President Muhammadu Buhari won his second term, I have removed myself from anything political. So when APC decided to do a proper registration of their members and to revalidate their membership, I did not take part in that exercise.
Another issue which stood against the nominee centered on whether or not her nomination as a second candidate from Delta State violates the principle of federal character.
Mrs. May Abamuchembo is from Delta State, but she was nominated, she's married to somebody from Cross River State, and she was nominated to represent Cross River State, not Delta State.
The nominee's response on her affiliation with the APC does not convince some committee members, and a back and forth ensues.
You swore to an oath, an affidavit, rather, in the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory. In paragraph 3 of that affidavit, it said that I am also engaged in active politics. I am also a member of the All Progressives Congress.
There is nothing wrong I can see in the appointment of Madam as INEC National Commissioner. All the points, according to the petitions I read, most of them are sentiments.
Madam Onoche, be placed on oath to repeat what she said as to whether or not she's a member of a political party.
He will only put somebody on oath in a committee if we're having if there was an investigation. We're not investigating. This is not an investigative hearing.
Mrs. Loretta Onoche takes her leave after an intense screening process. The committee is expected to make its recommendation to the Senate on her nomination for the position. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, sporadic gunshots sparked off a pandemonium at the Imo State House of Assembly on Thursday following the suspension of 6 lawmakers by the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, Paul Emezium, over alleged unparliamentary conduct. The chief whip of the House, Aide, was also removed. 4 of the lawmakers are members of the APC and 2 are of the PDP. The chairman of the House Committee on Information, Johnson Duru, insisted that the suspension of the 6 lawmakers was not political, but Mr. Egwim maintained that he remained the chief whip and nothing to his knowledge was done to warrant his removal by the leadership of the House.
Speaker gave me his wisdom, gave me freedom to move my motion. After moving his motion, going to item 8 in the other paper, only for him to say he has an announcement. So then he said, all the whole principal offices, like committees, has been dissolved. The office of chief whip has been dissolved. Nothing like office of chief whip has been dissolved. Instead of saying the chief whip has been removed, they say office of chief whip has dissolved, and that these 6 members, he now started mentioning 6 members: Kennedy Ibe, the honorable member Jogu, 6 of them, that all these members have all been suspended indefinitely because of unparliamentary activity. So we're like, what is happening? So before we know, we started hearing gunshots outside. So everybody started campaigning for safety. That's exactly what happened.
The House has protocols. The House has ethics. And then if a House member is found, wanted in any of those expected conduct of the member, honorable member, such House member is subject to disciplinary action. So we just resolved that it's high time we change the chief whip. I wouldn't say he committed any offense. He never committed any offense, but we felt there was need to install a new person who could, instill the expected discipline in the House. So that was why he was removed. So there was this premeditation that something like that was going to happen today. So the suspended House members came with some thoughts. And then this was towards the exit of the assembly premises, So in order to disperse them, so the security men had to release some gunshots in the air. Then that was just why you had some gunshots within the premises. So.
Staying with the legislature and back at the National Assembly, the federal lawmakers have approved the sum of 982.729 billion naira as supplementary budget for the 2021 fiscal year. The passage of the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2021 follows the consideration of a report by the Committee on Appropriation during Wednesday's plenary session.
More funding is coming the way of security agencies to confront the persistent security problems ravaging the country, as the National Assembly is passing a supplementary budget which is expected to see an upward review of the funding of some security agencies which were grossly underfunded or not funded in the appropriation bill. The National Assembly is approving the sum of 982.729 billion naira as supplementary budget, out of which 123 billion is for recurrent expenditure and 859 billion as contribution to the Development Fund for capital expenditure.
This House do consider the report of Committee on Appropriations for a bill for an act to authorize the issue of Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation for the sum of 982,729,695,343 naira only.
The Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, had disclosed to the Senate Committee on Army that the federal government spent about 54 billion naira in funding operations of the Nigerian Army between 2019 and 2021. Senate President Ahmed Lawan is asking the security-focused committees to ensure proper oversight of the deployment of the funds.
We expect our committees, the relevant committees, to be stiff, to be alive to their responsibilities for oversighting on how these funds will be deployed prudently.
The Senate is also approving President Buhari's request for the authorization of 2.343 trillion naira as external borrowing in the 2021 Appropriation Act, which would be used to fund specific capital projects from priority sectors of the economy. The approval by the upper chamber follows the consideration of the report by the Committee on Local and Foreign Debt and is coming amidst concerns about the country's rising debt profile.
The committee also knows that due to shortfall in our annual revenue in relation to our needs for rapid infrastructure and human capital development, we have had to pass deficit budget every year, requiring us to borrow to finance the deficit in our budget.
The new borrowing was calculated at an exchange rate of 379 naira to $1 and is expected to be sourced through the issuance of Eurobond in the international capital markets. Linda Akibi, Channels Television News.
To other stories, governors of the southern states are demanding that the next president of Nigeria should come from the southern part of the country. This formed part of the communique read at the end of their meeting in Lagos, where they also set September the 21st as deadline for the promulgation of anti-open grazing law by member states. Other details of the communique read by the chairman of the Southern Governors and Governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, include the rejection of the 3% equity shares for all producing communities, opting for 5% instead, national unity based on fairness, equity and justice, call for state policing, rejection of selective persecution, and rejection of proposed ownership structure of NNPC, among others.
A musical welcome to Lagos. Governors of the southern region, one after the other, they arrive at the Lagos House, and host Babajide Sanwo-Olu welcomes them into the meeting room, a second leg of their meeting about 2 months ago in Asaba, Delta State.
All governors, except two, are not yet here.
After about 3 hours of deliberation, they emerged from their meeting and the chair of the forum reads out the communique. The stands on security and open grazing are clear.
The forum re-emphasized the need for state police. The forum resolved that if for any reason security institutions need to undertake an operation in any state, the state chief security officer must be duly informed. The forum set a timeline of Wednesday, the 1st of September 2021 for the promulgation of the anti-grazing law in all its member states.
The governors are obviously not happy with the portions of the petroleum industry bill. They were unequivocal about their rejections of the areas they frown at.
The forum, however, rejects in very strong terms the proposed 3% for host community and supports 5% share of the oil revenue to the host communities as recommended by the House of Representatives.
And on the zoning of the presidency come 2023, the Southern governors want fairness and equity.
That the next president of Nigeria should emerge from the South.
The governors also rejected the planned removal of electronic transmission of results at elections and have fixed a deadline for promulgation of anti-open grazing law amongst member states. These resolutions gives a clue to the possibility of a return of the governors back to Lagos, which has now been made the secretariat of the forum. Sean Kimaloe, reporting for Channels Television News.
News round ends in Haiti, where President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated in his home in the capital, Port-au-Prince. The First Lady, Martine Moïse, was injured in the attack, and some reports say the gunmen, dressed in black, carried high-powered weapons and may have pretended to be part of a U.S. drug enforcement operation. Interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph declared a state of emergency and called for calm, saying all measures have been taken to guarantee the continuity of the state.
Interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph's announcement to the nation came hours after the president's assassination at his home. Unidentified gunmen stormed the property at 1 a.m. local time. The First Lady Martine, who was with him at the time of the incident, was shot as well and remains in critical condition in hospital. The 53-year-old Moïse had been in power since February 2017. His time in office was said to have been rocky as he faced accusations of corruption, and there were widespread demonstrations in the capital and other cities earlier this year. According to the opposition, Moïse's 5-year term should have ended on February 7, 2021. 5 years of the day since his predecessor, Michel Martelly, stepped down. But there had been a year's delay to the elections after Martelly's departure, and Moïse insisted that he had 1 more year to serve, as he did not take office until February 2017. Parliamentary elections should have been held in October 2019, but disputes have delayed them, meaning that Moïse had been ruling by decree. In February this year, on the day the opposition wanted him to leave office, Mr. Moïse had said an attempt to kill him and overthrow the government had been foiled until now. News of the assassination has shocked leaders around the world, many of them taken to social media to express their thoughts. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson called the assassination an abhorrent act and called for calm. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen offered condolences, and Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness said the world woke to the shocking and tragic news of Moïse's death. Even leaders in Latin America expressed their shock. Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, said he was also shocked by the news.
We're shocked by the tragic news from Haiti and want to express our deepest condolences on the passing of President Jovenel Moïse, to his family and friends, and to the whole nation, Haiti. Our condolences as well as to the people of Haiti at this terrible time.
In the meantime, the streets of the capital, Port-au-Prince, are empty, and neighboring Dominican Republic has ordered immediate closure of its border with Haiti.
And that's News Round this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shoboale. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.